Welcome in, folks, to another great episode of Living in San Diego. I'm your host today, Hennis Polk. I'm joined by my friend and agent, Joss Taylor.
Hi, how are you?
Excellent, Joss. Thanks for coming in. We have an interesting topic today, one of San Diego's most beloved communities. Tell us where you live and why you love it.
Okay, I live in Eastlake, Otay Ranch, and I love it, first of all, because it's beautiful. It's just beautiful looking. This is going to sound really cheesy, but the flowers, the trees, it's very well maintained. It's very beautiful. A lot of it is very new. There's a lot of planned communities in there.
Yep.
And it's also really easy access to everything. Very easy access to go to dinner, to go to lunch, to do your shopping, to run up to Target, to run to Lowe's, Trader Joe's, all of those places, Broken Yoke. Everything is up and down Eastlake Parkway. Everything you could possibly want, from donuts to tacos to jeans to jackhammers.
Yeah,
no, you get it all.
I agree, and it is a master plan community. And I remember learning about that because I think Rancho Bernardo was one of the first master plan communities in San Diego.
Yeah.
And Chula Vista followed in its footsteps, and it is beautiful. You get big, wide streets, nicely planned out neighborhoods with a lot of amenities in each of the neighborhoods too, right?
Yes,
there are. You get pools and you get parks and community centers, which is great. And I like that because it's a newer part of town in the last 20, 30 years or so, everyone's got sidewalks.
Yeah, that's true.
And you don't have good sidewalk access in most parts of San Diego. So if you walk or bike or stroller with your kid, it's a good spot to do it because you have like good quality sidewalks. Tell me more. What else is great about Chula?
You know what, to your point, and you see that too, the people walking their dogs and walking their kids, and the neighborhoods also, the newer ones that are coming up, Millennia, Cotavera, Escaya, they have got neighborhood parks. So you can't walk for 3 minutes without running into a neighborhood park. So some of them are the parks with the splash pads.
Yep.
Some of them are parks for adults, like a workout park for grown-ups, although the kids play around on it.
Sure.
Some of them are straight up playgrounds. So you can't go very far without running into a park, which is a completely awesome thing. And I will also add, very awesome from when everyone was working home a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the key things that's good about Chula Vista, especially someone relative to me that I live at the coast, we get coastal temperature. And one of the things in San Diego is that we have 4 different climate zones.
Yeah.
And so I think Chula Vista is kind of more towards that inland, almost mountain. So if it's 65 and cloudy at the beach, which it is a lot during April, May gray, and June gloom. And
that's a long season right there.
It's a lot of gray that we get. Sometimes it burns off by the afternoon, but sometimes not.
Yeah.
But you can go just a few miles inland and you get the sun and you get the warmth. And that's the nice thing about Chula Vista is that it could be 65 or 70 in a coastal town and it'll be 80 or 85 in Chula Vista, which a lot of people love that temperature for outside stuff. And
the beautiful thing is too, we really actually get the breeze off the ocean. In Eastlake, you still get that breeze off the ocean. So thank the Lord we're not frying like in the desert, but you're definitely getting the warmth and the sun. That when you are living on the coast, like you said, you're kind of covered with it a little bit, or at least through the better part of the day at sometimes. So, yeah.
What are some other amenities in Eastlake?
There is the food, some of my favorites, and there's a lot of places that I will completely forget to mention. Tomorrow is my 4-year anniversary with my husband, and so we're going to go to Savoie and Otay Ranch Mall, and that was the first, when we were looking for a home in Eastlake, that was the first restaurant that we went to, and we had a total date night there, and I was like, this will be one of my happy places, and it is. So.
It's French?
It's a French-Italian sort of, I hope I have that right and don't make them mad, French-Italian sort of fusion kind of place. So I'm thinking right now of the salmon. Oh, after I got my real estate license, that's where I went to celebrate, and I got the miso glazed Chilean sea bass.
Okay.
To celebrate.
Yeah,
so
I like sea bass.
It was really good.
So good dining. It's a nice spot. It's good enough for anniversaries and celebrations.
Yes.
But there's all kinds of spots there you can choose. A lot of them are in malls and strip malls, yeah?
Yeah, there are too. So near Millennia, you've got Sabrosita, which is a really fun Mexican place. They have really good, if you go to the straight up taco menu, really good tacos, fun drinks. I might go there tonight. There's pizzos there. I know that there's a few of those around San Diego. Otay Ranch Mall also has Novo Brazil. Now there's 2 Novos in Chula Vista. We go to the one in Otay Ranch Mall, and it's like a huge restaurant. The Padres are on a huge screen. You can get, I like to get a flight of beers and try all the different beers.
Yep.
Fresh food served hot. I'm really picky, so I really like that. And speaking of food, there's a Barron's Market in Otay Ranch Mall too.
Nice feature.
Yeah.
So Chula Vista's got some things going on. So what else is going on there? There's other amenities. I know the Olympic Training Center is there.
Yeah, that's a thing too.
Olympic Training Center is where U.S. athletes go to train for mostly the summer sports.
Yes.
Because I had a friend that was recruited to play on the female rugby team, and she went down there to train.
That's cool.
And so there's that. They have the track and field stuff, and a lot of huge facilities. That obviously Class A grade type stuff. And I think maybe it's open to the public a little bit. The other nice thing about it is it's near a lot of mountains, and you have a lot of nice mountain views, which surprisingly in San Diego, even though a lot of it is coastal and flat, then it gets hilly and then it gets mountain.
Yeah.
And that's cool to see those mountains. What's the big one there? Mount Miguel.
Mount Miguel was the big one there. So, I mean, just about from anywhere in Chula Vista, you're going to see Mount Miguel. And the views are really pretty. And if you look towards the mountains in the east, you see the little skydivers coming down from Skydive San Diego sometimes. So that's pretty cool. And also living there in the southern part of Eastlake, we have a view of the landing pattern, the San Diego airport. Then you turn around and there's Brown Field, and you can see the fighter jets coming in. It's like Top Gun.
Wow.
It's super cool. Yeah, I really
I
like
did
that.
skydiving out of Brownfield, so I remember that.
You've been skydiving?
Twice, yeah.
Why have you jumped out of a perfectly good plane?
The first time was for a girl.
Oh, okay.
The second time was because I almost died the first time, and I wanted to test my fate twice.
I don't want to get sidetracked, but can you tell us how you almost died the first time?
The chute was tangled up and it didn't open.
Shut up.
And then we crashed in a cornfield and...
No, you didn't!
Yeah.
Did you see your life flash before your eyes?
I knew that I was doing tandem, and the guy behind me was talking to me about his kids and wife, and he seemed like he had a happy relationship, so I knew he wasn't like suicidal. So I figured that he wanted to live just as much as I did as an 18-year-old young man.
Yeah, well, you both want to live, but you still crashed into a cornfield.
Yeah. He got knocked out, but he and I padded his landing, so I don't know how he got knocked out.
And were you injured, or?
I was cut up pretty bad because I got dragged through a cornfield for about 50 yards.
Holy cow!
And then, it was probably when I was like 30 or something, maybe a few years old. My friend was turning a certain age, and he's like, "Let's go skydiving." I'm like, "Can't happen twice."
No.
And I had a nice, pleasant landing in Brownfield because the place that I went to, they said that after that happened to us, that was the 1-year anniversary of the prior year. On that same day, one of their guys crashed and hit the ground, broke both his legs.
Oh my God, dude!
And so they're like, maybe we just stay closed on whatever date that was.
You're one of those really calm guys with a whole collection of weird stories, aren't you?
We'll find out in some more of these episodes.
Yeah, I guess that did your other episodes get sidetracked too, or did I just mess you up?
Back to Chula Vista.
Okay, so yes. So back to Eastlake, the Olympic Training Center is very cool, and it is kind of a bragging point too. And Olympic Parkway, obviously, because that goes to the Olympic Training Center.
For sure.
And then there's also North Island Credit Union Amphitheater.
That thing has changed names so many times.
They do that.
So that's the name for this year. Last year was something different than the prior years. But I heard just this morning that Fall Out Boy is playing. The tickets are as cheap as $12 right now.
That's such a good deal for like a nice show at like the outdoor amphitheater.
Band, yeah. So I'm assuming that's the the lawn seats or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, that's great. But it's about July 4th weekend when we're taping, and so maybe that has something to do with lower demand. Everyone wants to be at the beach.
It could be. I don't know.
But regardless, it's nice to have a huge concert venue.
Yeah, so
with
close.
the biggest names that come through.
Yeah.
The big names come through, and so that's huge.
And then right next door to that is Sesame Place, which was formerly called Aquatica. They are owned by SeaWorld. Big, huge water park. You could see it when you're on the way to North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. You see all the colorful water slides, and you can take the kids and visit with all of the Muppets. And I think if you live in Eastlake or anywhere in Chula Vista and you can do it, try to get a season pass if you have little ones, because that's a perfect place to go on a warm summer day. I
haven't been there yet. I have passes for the zoo and SeaWorld. But we'll have to do that soon because I know the kids like splashing around.
Who's your favorite Muppet?
That's a good question. This is going to be really telling.
Okay.
Muppet or Sesame Street character?
We better do Sesame Street character.
Okay. It might be the Count.
I love him.
Might
absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
I like that he's always there. And in these counting and doing silly things.
Yeah, because you're good with numbers. I think that's
can
what it
do
is.
some
You're
numbers.
really good with numbers. Yeah.
Actually, when I was in real estate early on, maybe 10 years ago or so, I did work out of a real estate office in Eastlake. So I was there at least a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
So I got familiar with it and went some lunch spots, and it was nice to get down there, taking the toll road, the 125 to get down there.
Yeah, it's pretty.
You have to really time your driving to and from Chula Vista because it can get busy.
Yeah.
And as we looked up, there's not a lot of major employers right in Chula Vista.
Not yet.
So they are pushing for it, right? Because the border's nearby. There's a lot of industry down in the Otay Mesa area, which is just south of Chula Vista, but it's considered technically part of San Diego.
Right, it is.
And so there's a lot of industry down there, and then just further north, and you have your current work at Central San Diego, but in off hours you can get there in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, you can. Yep.
Which is totally a reasonable commute for most people.
Yeah, it is.
So plan that out. If you're looking to move there, I would say make sure your employment's within 30 minutes. Otherwise, if you love sitting in a car for longer, and you're a podcaster listener, then maybe that works out.
Yeah.
Okay, so of course it's family friendly.
Yeah.
And it's because they've got good housing. And you mentioned that you chose Chula Vista to live because it's a bedroom community.
Yeah.
Which means what?
The bedroom community is where you're going to be with your family, raising your kids, having your backyard barbecues, and then you're going to go ahead and commute to work in a more populated place, downtown San Diego, whatever the case may be.
Well, there's pros and cons to it. And the benefit is that you're not surrounded by industrial, commercial, warehouses, manufacturing, things like that. And so it's nice to live in a community where it's mostly houses and businesses meant to cater residents and houses.
Exactly.
Right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit on the outskirts. Not a lot of jobs there, but they do have a progressive government. It's its own city. Yeah. It's in San Diego County. It's its own city. It's got its own mayor and city council, and they can put its own policies in place.
Yeah.
And it makes it a little bit more fast acting than how slow some of the bigger governments can be, like the city of San Diego. Let's go into pricing. How much do houses cost in Chula Vista? How can there's lots of townhomes there. There's a fair amount of condos. Those can be as little as like $450,000, $500,000 for like a modest, or is it closer to 6 now?
It's a little closer to 6 right now. So there are a lot of, in fact, when I tell people the stats in Chula Vista, I include stats on attached because so many, or on Eastlake, I should say, when I do stats on Eastlake, I do stats on attached because there's so many of them and detached. So probably in the 600s for attached right now.
Yep.
And then if you are going to go into a detached condo, we are looking at between $800 and $950 depending. Even there's an interesting feature too in some of the homes, in attached and detached. In some of the areas you can get an elevator. So that's a whole different beast right there. And it's a pretty cool addition to the home. That affects the price point a little bit. And then when you're going to get into your single family homes, I would say you're looking from the 9s into the 1 to 3 millions, depending on the neighborhoods.
Yep.
And there are some neighborhoods, I live in the southern part of Eastlake, so I think about that a lot. But if you go just north of that, you've got some really big, beautiful neighborhoods, big, beautiful houses.
Gated neighborhoods.
Gated, yeah, absolutely.
Gated, exclusive, 5,000 plus square feet.
Exactly.
5-6 bedrooms, great for extended families. Mother-in-law ADU suites already built in some of these places.
Yep.
And they are beautiful. You definitely get like estates at that point.
You do.
And so the full range, from nice to very nice.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of rundown areas in Eastlake.
Not in Eastlake, no.
Okay, so not a good spot to go for it. But still a beautiful place to visit and call home. Yeah. And it's still central to all the best amenities in San Diego.
It is too. Absolutely.
Well, awesome. That kind of wraps up another episode of Living in San Diego. Thanks for joining us.